What's up, guys? I just wanted to come on here and share my experience shipping my car from New York City to the Dominican Republic. And before I get into all the expenses, I wanted to just share with you guys why we decided to ship our car instead of purchase one in the Dominican Republic. We have a 2020 Honda Civic that we initially leased, so there was no miles on the car. We put the first miles on the car, and by 2023 it was paid off. In 2024 is when we started having conversations about moving to the Dominican Republic. So we had to decide what we were going to do, whether ship it to the Dominican Republic or sell it over there and use that money to buy a car here. I started shopping around. Initially, I wanted to do a container where you put your car in a container where all your other belongings like furniture, TV, whatever, with the car. And then I got my first quote, my first and last quote, because it came down to $15,000, right? And right at the bottom of the email it said this is before the $3,000 tax you have to pay at the Dominican port and whatever other fees they have. So I knew instantly that that wasn't for me. So I reached out to my cousin, shout out Framey, because I know he has some experience shipping cars to the Dominican Republic, and he got me in contact with a company called AES. So that company, I asked them the rates, how long it would take, and where their port was. The closest port to me was Brooklyn, but I chose to ship it out of New Jersey because New Jersey, I was told that New Jersey, they ship faster out of New Jersey because the shipping days on New Jersey are from Monday through Thursday, whereas Brooklyn is Monday and Thursday. So I decided to do that, and I was charged $1,100 for that. I dropped my car off. I didn't have anything in my car because you hear stories about, they'll even seal the car mats or the steering wheel cover. So I decided to take all that off and ship my car with nothing. Next thing I had to do was find a broker in the Dominican Republic, which my cousin Framey also suggested to me, and he gave me two prices. The first price was 10,000 pesos, and the second price was 15,000 pesos. Now the difference is 10,000 is if you're gonna bring your car in, regularly, just pay whatever fees are charged to you, etc. The 15,000, I'm assuming because there's more paperwork involved and more legwork, is if you're gonna do it under the Dominican law. So 15,000 pesos comes out to maybe $250 right now. I'm not sure, but we decided to go with that. So once we were sure that we wanted to do that, we went along with the process, shipped the car, had the broker, and I had to make sure, I did my research. I had to make sure that I met the qualifications for this law, and I'm going to read them off real quick to you, just if you're curious. Must be Dominican citizen or of Dominican origin living abroad legally. Must have resided abroad for at least 2 years. So that means you must have lived in the United States or wherever you are for at least 2 years. The car must be for personal use and not for resale. The car must not be older than 5 years. This is only allowed once, so you can't do this process now and then 5 years think you'll be able to do it again. This is a one-time deal. If you're not a dual citizen or have an American passport, you have to show proof that you've been a resident, like utility bills, pay stubs, ID cards, something like that. And another one that doesn't state on here, and I believe it's still a condition, it's over the last 2 years you can't have over 6 months in the Dominican Republic. So from, let's say now, March 2025 to March 2023, you couldn't have been in the Dominican Republic for 6 months or more total. So it doesn't mean one shot 6 months, it means total. Every trip can amount to 6 months. So maybe 2 or 3 weeks after we shipped our car and we made our move to the Dominican Republic, we got an email from Aduanas telling us how much we had to pay aduanas. Now, mind you, this is before any other fee, any parking fee, any registration fee, any license fee, any of that. And that price was 470,000 pesos, which comes out to about $7,500. As soon as I got that email, called my broker, text my broker. I would have emailed my broker if I had his email, and I said, what can we do to move this process along so we can see how much it's going to cost us after the law is applied. And the first thing we had to do is go to Aduanas in Santo Domingo, which is about 3.5-4 hours from here, to go to an interview. All right, I was under the impression after the interview, you just pay the fee and you get your car the same day. But we ran into a little bit of a hiccup. So before I get into the hiccup, I want to share what the estimate was for everything total after the Dominican law was applied. So we got a quote for 204,000 pesos. After the Dominican law was applied, now all I had to do was kind of pass the process of the interview. So I get to the interview and everything's going great until the end, where she basically tells me she has to verify my identity, because for those of you who don't know, many Dominicans have two last names. So let's say, for instance, my last name is Rodriguez Colon. On my Dominican paperwork, it says Rodriguez Colon, but on my United States passport, it just says Rodriguez. Now they have to take that time to verify I am who I say I am with the American Embassy. And that process took 2 weeks, and it cost us $1,000. It cost us $1,000 to wait for 2 weeks with the parking, rising, and things like that. The final payment of everything was 266,897 pesos with 10 cents. And that comes to $4,304 plus the 1,100, that I paid in the United States to ship the car, and the broker's fee is already in the 266,000. So total, it cost me $5,404 to ship my car from the United States to the Dominican Republic under the Dominican law. This would have been double the price if I didn't use the Dominican law, because as I said, the aduanas pricing was 470,000. That was before any other fee. That was before the parking, before the license plate, before the registration, and that was easily gonna take me into $10,000, maybe $11,000. And I didn't get a bigger tax break. I had to pay a little more because my car's VIN number starts with a 2. That means it was produced in Canada, manufactured in Canada, and I think it's United States and Mexico that have kind of a deal with the Dominican Republic, where they ship their cars from there, and the VINs start with 1 and 4. You get a little tax break on that. But me, and that I have a Honda made in Canada, they made me pay more for that. Now, what I want to say is just do your own research, right? Because everybody's gonna try to steer you different ways. I had plenty of people tell me to do it through a dealership. The dealership is easier, the dealership is faster, and the dealership is cheaper than trying to take it through the law. And that is not true. In my case, that's not true. I got 2 or 3 quotes from dealerships, and they were charging me over $350,000 to bring my car over to the Dominican Republic. So if you do your research and you're able to use this law, I say do it. It's worth it. I wasn't gonna find a car of that. I wasn't gonna find my same car for a price of $5,000, let's say $500, especially in 2020. I probably could have got a Hyundai Sonata, maybe for like a little cheaper than that, but that's not what I wanted. Yeah, just do your own research, because there's a lot of people telling me like, oh, you should have just sold it, you should have did this, you should have did that. For that, what you're paying, you could buy another car. But once I was finished with the process, they were telling me, "Oh no, that's a good price. Like you can't find anything else like that." So just do your own research. I'm gonna pin my Instagram down below, so if you want to send me a private message to use my broker, they speak Spanish only, so you just need a translator present, or Google Translate, and they'll help you out with that. But other than that, any question you guys have, you guys could just drop a comment, like this video, subscribe if you haven't. I have like 41 subscribers so far, and I'm kind of proud of that number, 41. So yeah, stay tuned until my next video. It should be dropping soon. It's going to be my cost of living for the month of March in the Dominican Republic. And yeah, be safe guys, and see you in the next video.